when I was 3, I would sit in the back seat and sing about everything that I passed by and drive my family completely crazy. And I never was shy about singing up on stage and things like that, but I didn't start writing until I was about 15. When I went overseas for a mission trip and spent time in Namibia, South Africa, I pretty much got there and found myself completely unequipped with a lot of just religious mumbo jumbo that unfortunately didn't help anybody there, and was put in a position to really have to press in to Yahweh and believe that when I prayed to Him that He would answer back. And much to my surprise at the time, He did. He answered back. And I began to understand what it means to hear His voice. And as I did that, it opened up so much more in me to want to express that. And so pretty much on my way back, flying back, that whole part of the trip, flying back from Africa, I began to just write and to just pour out and listen. And I began to have a desire to express the spoken word through music, as well as expressing the things that Yahweh does in my life to other people. Jason and I have been married for a decade. I can actually say a decade now. It's pretty crazy. A decade. And in that decade, we have had 4 children, and 7 is our oldest daughter, who of course is 7 years old right now. And then Giovanna is 5, Pierce is 2, and Stone is about 8 months old. So that my life consists of caring for those gifts that Yahweh has given me, which generally is a nonstop process of answering questions and homeschooling and cleaning and keeping Pierce right now out of just about everything that he can possibly get into, which is pretty constant. Well, you have to believe that there's a promise for every season. And the biggest promise in this season right now for me is motherhood. And it doesn't mean that I don't get to express. And I think the biggest reason why I do get to express myself during this time is because I have a husband who cares enough to provide me with the opportunities to do that. But for the most part, this season is more about my children and homeschooling them or feeding them and taking care of the household. But with his help, I do have time here and there. And I think that because being creative will, if you'll allow it to, will pour into all of those different aspects of responsibility that you have. And instead of choosing to kind of selfishly pour your creativity into the one thing that you might want to do, I think that if you'll allow it to pour into the things that you're responsible for, keeping in mind that that's the season that Yahweh has me in, that I'm still going to enjoy being creative and being expressive. And as far as music goes, there'll be time. I think Yahweh's very faithful to sometimes just download and impart very quickly right now in this season. And then I'm blessed, of course, with the musicians who can pretty much pick up anything within 15 minutes. So as far as time goes on writing, it's just my availability to listen to Yahweh. He blesses me a lot of times with even the music that comes with it. So I don't have to sit down and figure a lot of things out. I'm just blessed with it. And then I have people in my life that bless me to make sure that creativity has a place. Some of my music is, what we call prophetic. I think that they may not even understand what the Holy Spirit was talking about in something, but I wanted to incite in them the giftings and the anointings that are already there through Christ and obtainable through Christ. So I think that it will just penetrate into their spirit and create a deeper desire for relationship and a deeper desire for them to know for themselves. The things that Yahweh imparts to me, that the Holy Spirit imparts to me, He's no respecter of persons. So that relationship can be for anyone. And it's going to have its own unique expression. But if anyone desires to hear the voice of God, then all they need to do is begin to press into Him and talk to Him, and with faith expect a response. And I want my music to be an encouraging word to them that says, yes, you can talk to Yahweh and He's going to respond. The way that we found our way to the Rock was by experiencing change in the lives of other people. For the most part, 180 degrees change, things that, and perspectives, the way they would first used to look at something and have a perspective about that, to change completely, and for them to really and truly believe in that new perspective had to come through a revelation that they got, and not just an idea or a thought. And that's where I began to kind of question, this person is getting a lot of revelation. They're completely changing. And so I began to just look into that, began to ask questions, and found out that they were going to the Rock. So as we began to come here, it was so different from our Southern Baptist background. But we both, the first service we attended, immediately knew that we were supposed to be there, even though it wasn't comfortable. But there's a part of you that when you've been doing this long enough, when you've been walking with the Holy Spirit long enough, you realize that discomfort is a good thing. And it's a part of leaving the flesh behind and becoming more spiritual, and having a deeper relationship with Him is always going to require more. And so as we embrace that, we've been there now almost 10 years, and I can't imagine being anywhere else. When I started at the Rock, I hadn't been writing very well, in my personal opinion, because at the time I hadn't really pressed into the idea of writing by Holy Spirit. I had off and on a little bit, but having no one to cultivate that, I hadn't done that a lot, and little by little began to kind of get pressed and just asked, to step forward and to just try that, to try to help to lead praise and worship. And anybody who knows Autumn knows that she is quite the encourager and quite the presser, so to speak. And so, with her gentle prodding, she began to help me and direct me to begin to just do what we call flow by the Holy Spirit. Listen and let the musicians do their work and play whatever they believe that they're needing to play in that moment, and just listen for the word of Holy Spirit. And that's what began to draw that flow out of me, or I should say press that flow out of me. And I fell in love with Yahweh, and the fact that I can just listen and release His word through music. I think that music and the way that it affects us, if you were to watch a movie, for example, and during the most intense parts of the movie, if you turned off all of the music and you still had the words and things like that, but you watched it, your emotion and thought would not be incited very much in that moment. But then when you add the music that's going on, your emotions begin to get stirred, and you begin to really get drawn into what's happening. And I think that spiritual things should not be strictly emotional things, but I think that Yahweh created emotions, and that music has a way of penetrating through that, kind of opening a door through your emotions and delivering a word by the Holy Spirit into people and depositing it like seed. But without that music, it is so much harder, I think, at times for people to receive it. But with music, you've got, your mind and your will and your emotions and your spirit all working together at the same time to receive a word from the Holy Spirit.